Hello everyone, and now welcome to Game 2 in this best of 3 series between Quantix, Hyun versus Symbol here on Belshir Vestige. Hyun spawning as the blue Zerg on the top left hand side of the map. Meanwhile, Symbol is spawning as the red Zerg on the bottom right. Game 1 was really a game of macro, both players pretty much building very similar units, except Hyun choosing a different route in order to get there and did end up coming out on top. In StarCraft 2, it's not necessarily your destination in terms of what you are trying to build, but the path you often choose to get there compared to your opponents. Apparently, Quantix Hyun's path was just slightly better as he was able to take a 1-0 lead. Now, moving on into Game 2, we'll see whether or not Symbol once again relies on early Zerglings. I think that was just a major difference between the two fights. Hyun, I believe, had just trained Roaches and Roaches alone using a very Zerg style of play. If you are going to just go for Roaches, if you are going to build Roaches, build lots of them so that your opponent cannot counter them. I think what Jim Raynor said it best when he said Zerg is the most scary thing about Zerg is that they just keep on coming. You kill one and there's still one more right behind it. I would say two, but then I think I'm referencing a Hydra instead. We are going into hatcheries over here at the 6 and 12 o'clock position. Hyun is going for a fast expansion, and meanwhile so is Symbol. It looks as though we are going to be going into, I believe, an extractor first coming in from Symbol this time around. Meanwhile, it will be a spawning pool first by Hyun. Hyun means that he wants to play a longer macro game. He's not going to be getting that gas. He's not going to be using metabolic boost nearly as quickly, and he wants to get those queens slightly faster. So even though there's only about a 20-second difference on the extractor, that does come out to be how many minerals is that? Is that about 20? What, 33 to 35 mineral difference, and that 33 to 35 mineral difference could be the difference between 2 fast queens and 1 fast queen and metabolic boost. We'll see who takes the better route this time, as we're seeing at 18/18 supply on both sides. Hyun will get an additional 2 supply from this hatchery. Wait for it. There you go. Sitting at 23/28, getting those queens in play. Meanwhile, it looks like it will be a little bit delayed for his opponent. I was going to say partner in crime, but nope, they are not working together at all. Now, Hyun did spot the shimmering effect on that metabolic boost from the spawning pool, so he knows what's in store for him. Meanwhile, he is going to be getting his metabolic boost just a little bit later, and he's not going to be that much behind in terms of metabolic boost. The reason being is I don't believe Hyun is going to try and be aggressive with the Zerglings. If he was trying to be aggressive with the Zerglings, he would have gotten the metabolic boost faster, but if he's just trying to be defensive, he's going to be in a very good spot. By the time the sea of Zerglings gets to his base, he is already going to be in a very good position to try and defend it. However, Symbol did get that Baneling's nest slightly faster, and because his extractor was up slightly longer, he should theoretically have more gas for Banelings when the time does come. In this situation, the game is really going to come down to who has more good Baneling hits, as the Queen still trying to shoot down this one Overlord here, already down to 21 hit points, and the Queen unable to catch up to it just because of this doodad in the way. Now, as some of you guys may have noticed, I have turned off the hit point bars only to show them when they are being damaged, especially in this game here, when you often see Zerglings versus Zerglings and you can't really see what's going on underneath it. Alright, Queen is in position. There's a Spine Crawler. Is it going to get off 2 shots? One Zergling able to slip by here. Another Zergling trying to get in here. It looks like a drone may get taken down. No, the Queens are going to be working together and shooting that down rather easily. Symbol sneaking away with that one Overlord, as we now see 2 Zerglings trying to make their way inside as well. They're going to be able to do a good bit of scouting before the Queen starts pummeling them with darts as well. army supply 51 to 48, as we are still looking at banelings hiding off to the north. That could be extremely dangerous, on top of being extremely explosive, as Hyun, oh, he is going to get caught here. Oh, one baneling will end up getting canceled. This baneling is going to get canceled. It does end up trying to get away, but I believe the queen is going to come in to intercept it. Yes, down it goes without even taking down a single drone, dealing just a little bit of damage there, as Symbol has come out ahead, cleaning up all of that baneling damage before it could really amount to anything. We are still sitting at 2 bases to 2. Queens are in position to try and fend off this attack here. 2 queens standing side by side. The elastic stretch arm of that spine crawler now coming over, as the Zerglings were able to run all the way around. Meanwhile, banelings, no banelings morphing off over there, as the Zerglings just doing a bit of scouting. We are going into an infestation pit. Meanwhile, Symbol is actually going into a spire. Interesting call here to go for a spire when we didn't see a spire in game 1. This may end up catching his opponent completely off guard, as we are perhaps going into swarm hosts. Infestation pit is either swarm hosts or infestors. I do believe both would be a fairly bad idea now, just because of the movement speed on Mutalisk. Zerglings and banelings are now battling it out. You can take a look. Those Zerglings will be backing off here. Are the banelings going to get off a good hit? It could be coming just to that there, as we can see the roaches. Oh, banelings engaging against each other. Symbol actually coming out ahead here. What is this queen doing? Trying to chase down an overlord, as the rest of the roaches get cleaned up as well. Hyun may end up losing this queen off to the side here. This is going to be a very bad day. Off of creep and completely surrounded and taken down. Meanwhile, Overseer doing a bit of flyby does spot the spire, and now are we going to be perhaps getting more queens and even a couple of spore crawlers? We are going into the pathogen glands. Infestors need to be trained up as well in order to get a lot of infested terrans and perhaps fungal growth, but fungal growth is very difficult to land now that it is a missile attack. Very easy to dodge, nowhere near as good as what it was in the original Wings of Liberty. But then again, in the original Wings of Liberty, I would have to argue that fungal growth was perhaps infinitely better than even, say, Psystorm, just because once you landed with one, you could follow up and continue landing attacks since the units could not move. Psystorm, the units could actually dodge it and move out of it once it was in play, unlike fungal growth, which kept the units just stationary. All right, Mutalisk still flocking around as they are now moving off to the north. Queens now trying to make their way together and push back these Mutalisks, as we see only one low hit point Mutalisk in the bunch. Hatchery canceled here at what I'll call the 1 o'clock location. Meanwhile, Mutalisks are now making their way up the front. And where are they going to be going here, as the Mutalisks are attempting to take down a couple of easy drones? 1 drone down, 2, 3 drones already down, 4, as this very small group of Mutalisks looking to deal a lot of damage and doing exactly that. 1 Mutalisk very low on hit points there, but it looks like it will be able to escape, as a fungal growth does completely miss this entire flock. And now Hyun is in trouble. He is down by about 40 supply here. Excuse me, 50 supply here, as the third base will get cleaned up. Symbol already establishing up his third base and getting up his fourth in the meantime. Harvester count 60 to 47, and I do believe this is going to be the beginning of the end for Hyun. This is going to be too difficult for him to recover any longer with so much map control just by this handful of Mutalisks. 7 Mutalisks, 1 Mutalisk was taken down. I believe we are now going into mass roaches, as the queens will need to try and fend off this very large attack here. Symbol going to be following this up with a lot of roaches. The roaches are 1-0 upgraded, and now they're just going to be walking inside the base. The infestors getting off a fungal growth there. Are they going to be able to do enough? More roaches now coming in. More fungal growths do need to land if they expect to have any chance on this battle. There's some fungal growths trying to go off here, but the fungal growth is very difficult to land. Some infested Terrans instead, much easier, as we now see them now just swarming out of nowhere. There is 1 spore crawler there. Infested Terrans will be able to fight this back, but there is a rather large army of roaches coming back in by Symbol. With all of these infestors without energy, how much damage do they really expect to do? As Hyun does realize this and says GG. after falling behind on so many bases, didn't even realize that his opponent had already set up his 4th base. We are all tied up at 1 game apiece as we now move into Game 3 of this best of 3. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening.